What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an article from Pippin Ain't Easy that discusses the 3 positional battles that can help define the Chicago Bulls. Now, as we've mentioned plenty of times on this channel, competition for places and competition for minutes is always a healthy part of being part of a competitive team. And these players could potentially be in competition not only for minutes, but potentially for starting roles and just potentially to elevate the team, and that is something that I'm looking forward to seeing. So we're going to go through 3 positional battles that the Chicago Bulls could see in this upcoming regular season, and hopefully we will find out who in the end will be, I guess, the most important factors within that, and whether or not these positional battles make sense. Now, I'm not saying it as in this guy versus this guy and there's only one winner. I think if there's many players fighting their hearts out to get minutes and to be competitive in their spots, that's only going to help this team in general, and that's always what a team should be going for. But before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about whether or not you believe that these positional battles that the Chicago Bulls could have within their own team will make a difference and benefit our team in the long run or not. Now, of course, this is a new look team, and with that, we're going to start off with a new look player. Well, firstly, we're going to talk about a current Chicago Bulls player that's been here for years. It's Nikola Vucevic versus Jalen Smith. The backup center versus the main center of the Chicago Bulls are the first positional battle that we will be discussing. And they play different roles. So obviously we know very well that Vucevic will be the starting center for the Chicago Bulls going forward unless he is traded. The reason being, well, he's one of the better centers in the league. He's a double-double machine, very talented offensive player, probably the better IQ and high, and passing center as well. And I think that's very vital to the type of offense the Bulls want to play. But here's why it is a battle. First and foremost, Jalen Smith does have his benefits when he does play. First and foremost, he's much more athletic and mobile, which means he can get around the court faster, he can switch onto players faster, he can, run plays faster, everything in between. Number 2, he's more efficient than Nikola Vucevic. Maybe around the rim, but definitely behind the three-point arc. I would trust Jalen Smith more in those areas at this point in time than Nikola Vucevic. Vucevic may be the smarter player, but he might not be the more efficient player for the Chicago Bulls. And number 3, Billy Donovan's pet peeve. He can play in the small ball areas, and that's where the battle truly comes from. So, if Jalen Smith can come into the team, full well knowing he's going to be starting off the bench most likely, and fight his way, and make it a really competitive battle between himself and Nikola Vucevic, I guess this article says you might very well see the speed up process of the Bulls trying to trade Nikola Vucevic. That could be the way to go. But I wouldn't even call this a positional battle. I think these two can play together. And that's where I want to stress, it's not just about the battles that we see. It's about the competition for minutes. And that could be important, because I can see a world where we play big ball and you put Jalen Smith in the power forward position with Nikola Vucevic in the center position. I can see that working for the Bulls in certain lineups. Maybe the lineups against the bigger teams like the Bucks or something. I could see that happening, and I can see that working out for us and stuff of that nature. So, just because they both play the same position, and most of the time it's going to be starter versus bench player, you have to truly believe that these two could also play with each other as well. That's what I'm looking forward to, and again, it should be fun to kind of see that experiment. Next up, Patrick Williams and Mateusz Buzelis, the 4th year player, or maybe he's 5th year now, I'm not sure. And Mateusz Buzelis, the rookie, ladies and gentlemen. Now, these two obviously play in very similar positions. They are most likely going to be in the power forward positions for the Chicago Bulls. Buzelis, I believe, is 6'10". Patrick Williams, 6'9". Both of them have their traits. Both of them have a very different playing style, but ultimately, both could be fighting for the very same position as well. So what's the benefit for both? Well, ultimately, with Patrick Williams, you're going to get at least stability in that position. I wouldn't necessarily define him as a superstar caliber player. I think a lot of people have lost faith in that becoming his future for the Bulls. But very good defender, very good three-point shooter, good 3-and-D guy, and ultimately is still very athletic and can help in that department as well in some areas. Whereas what you get with Mateusz Buzelis, he's still raw, very raw, but the guy's a baller. He dominated the Summer League for the Chicago Bulls. Was our best player in the Summer League, in my opinion, alongside of Adama Sanogo. And you could tell there's something about him. The confidence level is absolutely there. It's almost like you've got Patrick Williams, who's a little bit more laid back, but is, quite a decent player, or at least can play, I would say, a solid game most of the time. Maybe not great or elite, but he could be solid for you most of the time. And then you got Buzelis, who's confident beyond belief. And there'll be some games where he absolutely carries this Bulls team on his back, and then there are other games where he's so overconfident that it actually hurts this Bulls team. And for him, it's about finding that balance. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. But once again, I want to reiterate, these two can play together. Patrick Williams can slide into that small forward position very comfortably if need be, and Buzelis can move right into that power forward position, or vice versa. It doesn't need to be defined by position either. They could both just be on the same court together. I think they actually work out very well with each other, in my opinion, with Buzelis being more of that slashing forward that could, dribble and get to his spot, and also is willing to pass the ball out to the three-point shot, where Patrick Williams is probably better at. So I think these two can play together, but ultimately, it's like two completely different players trying to fight for that position. That's what I like about that situation as well. And ultimately, again, it should be good for both players to kind of fight for that area. Last but not least, and this one to me is something I don't necessarily agree with whatsoever. It is Coby White versus Zach LaVine. Now, this article, it's the first thing that they say. It's not necessarily a fight for the minutes, because they're both probably going to start, which is something that I firmly agree with. But it's more of a fight for the role of the go-to scorer for the Chicago Bulls. And I think we need to get, away from the fact that we have one go-to scorer. I mean, look, even the last couple of seasons with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, it wasn't, option A and option B. It was two option A's for the Chicago Bulls in many ways. And yes, those options didn't necessarily help us win majority of our games, but you can't necessarily say one of them was the go-to scorer and the other one was the second go-to scorer. With Coby White, there's more of a chance Coby White will be the second go-to scorer than Zach LaVine, but I think you need to start looking at both of these players as two primary ball handlers that will be looking to score more for the Chicago Bulls, especially when you have other guys like Josh Giddey looking to set them up. I think both of them are going to be very, very pivotal for the Chicago Bulls if we're trying to win some games. Coby White has proven time and time again that he can adapt to any situation he's been put under. Whether it is as a primary ball handler and a point guard, or whether it's more of that off-ball guard looking to score, whatever his position is for the Chicago Bulls in this upcoming season, I firmly believe he is going to have a great role here with the Bulls. And I feel the same way with Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is going to come into the season with a point to prove. And ultimately, these two have played so well together in the past. Well before DeMar DeRozan came into the team, it was these two really carrying the load for the Chicago Bulls. They've proven they can play well together, and I can only see that going in the same direction now that they're probably going to be the go-to guys for the Chicago Bulls in this upcoming season. So I wouldn't necessarily agree this is a positional battle or a battle for a role per se. I don't necessarily agree with this one whatsoever. I would more incline maybe some of our bench guys kind of fight it out, to kind of get that main six-man role, rather than looking at Zach LaVine and Coby White that are both going to be starting for the Chicago Bulls. I would actually go out on a limb here and say Coby White versus Ayo is more of a positional battle than Coby White and Zach LaVine, just because Ayo has proven time and time again that he's probably the more consistent player between the two, and Coby is one of those guys that can take the next step, but Ayo's really consistent. It's quite an interesting battle, I would say, between those two. Yeah, it's a bit weird to me, that one. But ultimately, again, you can maybe find it as a positional battle in the sense of maybe for whatever reason, Coby White or Zach LaVine comes off the bench next season. I don't know. But yeah, I just can't see that being one of them in all honesty. Regardless of the fact, there should be many positional battles out there. Even guys you don't expect to kind of thrive for the Bulls. Heck, a guy like Javon Carter per se. You shouldn't rule him, or even Lonzo Ball. You shouldn't rule any of these guys out of a potential starting role if they can prove that they can play that role effectively and actually, raise their game. That's what I'm looking for. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care. and peace.